Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we are reading His Reasons. It's a Todoroki X-Reader fanfic by AshleyH713. Yep. We're reading Season 4, Chapter 4 today. This is the second video I'm recording for the day. The first one I recorded, I had the mic just sitting next to me because I figured I was talking loud enough because it's not almost midnight and I can talk loud, and apparently I wasn't talking loud enough, so now I'm holding the mic because that just seems easier than talking loud for me. Yeah, so I'm sorry it's been a while since I uploaded. Everything going on, a bunch of home stuff and all that. I just haven't had the time or the motivation to do it, so I'm trying to get back into doing stuff like this. Yeah, let's begin. Taking a sip of her water bottle, Amari wiped the sweat from her forehead before overhearing the TV on her left echo out an assortment of words. It seemed to be some kind of new report. It's not like I don't like Endeavor. I just can't help comparing him to All Might. Smirking under her breath, the girl then turned her head to the hero in question, teasing him a little bit. You hear that? Seems like you're not very popular. Oof, that's rough. The man frowned back before forcibly grabbing the remote out of her hands and turning off the object. Would you focus on the important matters? What those people say don't concern you. Crossing her legs in front of her in interest, Mari leaned forward and saw the lowered brow across his face. He couldn't fool her. It was obvious he was worried about the public reputation. Although it's not like she could blame him. The man did have large shoes to fill after all. Oh, don't be upset, Endeavor. If it means anything to you, I think as a hero you aren't the worst person ever. Unsurprisingly, though, the man didn't feel reassured. That doesn't mean anything. Lowering her water bottle then, Amari just sighed. Rude, and here I was trying to help you with your image. Maybe you stop going around with that annoying scowl of yours all the time. People wouldn't be afraid of you. But hey, don't take my advice. I'm just a stupid kid. She raised herself up after that, stretching out her arms out as Endeavor eyed the girl with disdain. She really was a pain in his ass. But he couldn't help but think she had a point somewhere. He had to get the public to like him somehow. But of course, he wasn't about to ask advice from a child. So instead, the man decided to change the subject. You reached up to 15% today, without repercussions. Your improvement is noticeable now. Have you experienced any more flashes? Noticing the change in Mari's face fell then. No, I haven't. It's weird, but ever since that day, I've been fine. Maybe it was just some sort of freak thing. And what she said was true. Ever since she had that weird flashback a couple weeks ago, Amari was perfectly fine. It was like the thing never even happened, and that's what she was hoping for. Although Endeavor didn't seem convinced, knowing how she was that day. That wasn't an accident. Don't be foolish. You must be on guard, especially when using your quirk. Haven't you forgotten what I said before? If you push yourself past your limit. Mari couldn't help but roll her eyes at that. Yeah, I know, I'll die. Trust me, I've heard you the first 50 times. I'll be careful. Don't want you to worry about me too much. To that, Endeavor shook his head. I don't worry, I'm only concerned about the mark you'll make on my agency. Because I have chosen you as a trainee, that means you now represent the Todoroki name. I will not have you slander that name with your negligence and reckless behavior. Although once he was finished, the man looked up only to find Amari yawning, like she hadn't heard him at all. Are you even listening? To which she only shrugged. To be completely honest, I only listen to half the things you say. The minute you start monologuing about how great you are, I lose interest. Balling his fist in anger, Endeavor growled, only for the girl to notice his annoyance and laugh. That's when he realized she was messing with him. I'm just kidding. You don't have to be so serious all the time. That's exactly why the public doesn't like you, Then she placed a hand on his shoulder before narrowing her eyes, all the girl's playful attitude now going out the window. She looked serious. I promise not to let your training go in vain. You are the only one to give me a chance, and I will show you just what kind of hero I can be. Just then her phone started beeping and Amari gasped, her serious demeanor turning back into something frantic. Ah, crap, I'm going to be late. And at the start of this new semester, too. Running over to her school uniform, the girl then began throwing her shirt over her tank top, frantically buttoning each button before waving to the number one hero. "See you, Endeavor. Wish me luck." She got halfway out the door before she heard his voice echo through her core, stopping her completely. He sounded exhausted, like he was over her antics. "Bakugo." Turning back, she was about to question him before noticing a very familiar school blazer in his hand. Oh shoot, she almost forgot her jacket. "Ah, thank you. How could I almost forget that? Okay, now I'm leaving." Just like that, the girl ran out of the room, causing the man to sigh in exasperation. Why, out of all people, had he agreed to train this girl? She was a real piece of work. That girl would probably lose her head if it wasn't attached to her body. Although he couldn't help but notice that fire behind her eyes sometimes, though. That fire made her interesting. Running towards the gates, Amari huffed out of breath before running straight into another student, their large body colliding with hers almost immediately as she fell to the floor. "Sorry, I wasn't looking where I was," although she looked up and found a pair of very familiar eyes staring back at her. "How many times are you going to not watch where you're going? I swear, you are such an airhead sometimes." Brushing herself off, Amari gave them a goofy smile. "Sorry, Shinzo. I guess I'm just really excited about this semester. I mean, this is my chance to show UA that I belong back in the hero course." Her fist pumped in the air as the girl shook his head at her antics. "Yeah, well, you're going to have to learn to walk first. No one wants you killing yourself like last time. Plus, don't think you can get too ahead of me, short stuff. I'm taking this seriously, too." Nodding her head in agreement, Amari then paused when she noticed something different about the boy. "Hey, by the way, you look different." Shinzo felt her gaze on him and turned away, now feeling slightly self-conscious about her eyes boring into him. "Yeah, well, actually," although before he could finish the sentence, Amari placed her hand on top of his chest in question, now feeling solid muscles beneath his shirt. "Whoa, you've really been training hard, haven't you? You're not all bone anymore." At the action, Shinzo felt his face burn, throwing her hands off of him and shouting back, a slight crack to his voice. Why did she just touch his chest? "What are you doing? Don't touch me like that." Mari blinked in confusion, not really understanding his issue, but still respecting his space. "Oh, sorry. I didn't think you'd be bothered by it. I'm just impressed, that's all. Please don't be upset." She leaned forward, then her red eyes caught his, now pushing her away from him and muttering back softly, "It's fine. Just stop staring at me like that. It's uncomfortable." Nodding her head, the girl withdrew before standing up and gathering her books. "Sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable, but I guess that goes to show how serious you are, right? Looks like I have some real competition ahead of me if I want to claw my way back up to the top." She laughed back and Shinzo decided to stand as well, placing a nervous hand to his neck. He really needed to stop acting like such an idiot in front of her. The girl had Todoroki. He needed to get over this annoying feeling quickly, knowing nothing would come of it. Amari was completely oblivious to him anyway. She had struggled enough as it was, not wanting to burden her with anything else unpleasant. Maybe that was for the best. Deku and the other classmates settled into their seats before the boy let out a heavy sigh. Because he had decided to fight with Kacchan, that meant that they were on a 3-day house arrest from class. Luckily, Amari was able to get out of that punishment, though, seeing that she was only trying to stop the fight. Bakugo wasn't as lucky, though, and earned himself an extra day of suspension for starting the entire thing, although he couldn't deny that class was quiet without his yelling. Aizawa walked in then, sighing to himself before pointing towards the door. "All right, since most of you passed your provisional exam, that means you are able for work studies now. It will be just like your internships, except you will be doing more actual hero work." The class cheered at the news, excited to be able to start their work as actual heroes, when the man continued. "Because of that, I asked a couple third-year students to explain how work studies differ from internships. They rank at the top of all student body. Just then the door opened and 3 students stepped in, 2 males, one with blonde and one with black hair, along with 1 female. They walked to the center of the room, and everyone couldn't help but gasp. They knew these students anywhere. They were the big 3. After a short introduction, the blonde-haired male, Mirio, suggested that the entire class fight against him, which was a shock to all the students. Was this man crazy? Taking down all of them was going to be nearly impossible, but much to their surprise, Aizawa agreed to the fight, and soon enough the entire class was standing on the grounds inside of the school. How did it even come to be like this? Mirio stretched out his arms lazily before the door to the left opened, now seeing Aizawa walk in with Bakugo trailing shortly behind. Because this will be a lesson for all of you, I have allowed Bakugo to watch the match, although he is forbidden to participate, giving his house arrest. Katsuki frowned back as Mirio eyed the new boy with interest, walking over to greet him. Why, hello there. You must be the other problem child that you keep talking about at opening ceremonies. Oh, that's good. As much to expect, Bakugo didn't take that well. What the hell did you just say? Problem child, my ass. What kind of extra do you think you are? The blonde-haired blinked in surprise, then, just as the female Najire answered back, Oh wow, you're an angry one. So fascinating. I wish you could fight today also. I love to see how your quirk works. Hi, I'm Najire, by the way. I think that's the way to say it. I'm probably wrong. Her peppy personality made him grimace, now reminding him of a very familiar twin of his. I don't care who you are. All you need to know is that I'm going to beat you. The girl blinked in surprise as another voice overheard this time Tamaki as his meek voice traveling through the space. He does seem problematic. At that, Bakugo's hands rose and he already trying to make his way over to the man facing the corner. What did you just say? Screw you. I'd wipe the floor with you and all of you if I could. Fight. Because of his tone, Tamaki squeaked, turning his face even deeper into the corner. Scary. Seeing his shiver, Mirio then threw an arm over the boy, excitement in his features. I would love to fight you. Just the thought gets me all excited, yes. Let's make a plan to do that after all this is over. I'm sure your skills are quite impressive with that abrasive personality. Now, before that, though, let's get down to business, shall we? Then, before Katsuki could throw his hand off him, Mirio let go, now gazing towards Class 1A as they prepared to attack them. The class seemed pretty confident at this, now springing into action. They have fought villains and other pros before. This should be easy. They quickly began to realize how wrong they were. In almost a couple minutes, the entire class was down, groaning on the floor as Mirio looked at his work. He had some kind of quirk that let him phase through objects, which made it almost impossible to land a hit on this guy. He was something else. That was fun. Although the class didn't see the fun. Deku shakily getting up to his feet. Even Bakugo looked kind of intimidated by the boy, and he hadn't even fought him. Just then the door of the training area opened and Amari popped her head in, surprised to see everyone staring at her. The bell had rung, but maybe she had interrupted. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were over. I'll go wait outside. Although Aizawa put his hand up, stopping his former classmate, his former student. It's all right, Bakugo. We are finishing up anyways. Everyone, you are dismissed. Nodding her head, Amari then turned around, only to find a strange face staring back at her. Najire screaming with glee. Ooh, who are you? You're so cute. I'm gonna die. Mirio, look how cute she is. She kind of looks like the angry one. Not really understanding, the girl put her hands out, now feeling slightly uncomfortable. But before she could even finish her sentence, the poor girl was lifted into the air, being twirled around in circles by Mirio. Oh, you're right. She's so small and lightweight. Swirling around, Amari gasped in surprise as another voice entered the space, Tamaki glancing at the poor girl that had been caught by his friends. Mirio, you're making her uncomfortable. He seemed to realize the situation, then quickly putting down the girl before speaking. Oh, sorry about that. I just get really excited to see a new face. Hello, I'm Mirio Togata. Togata. A third year here. It's nice to meet you. Putting a hand to her head to stop the world from spinning, Mari realized who this man was. It was the talk of the school, after all. Wait, aren't you part of the big 3? He nodded before pointing to the other 2 strangers. Right, you are. In fact, we are all part of the big 3. We are just showing Class 1A what hero studies will be like. And who are you, if I might ask? You're not part of this class, are you? The teamwork study sounded interesting. Knowing she'd have to ask Bakugo later what exactly that was, she hadn't heard of that before. She thought about the boy's question. A long time ago, she would have regretted that question because it meant having to reveal her last name and her brother's disgust. But now she's proud of it. Well, I used to be. My name is Bakugo Amari. It's nice to meet you as well. At her name, Mirio's eyes widened before looking back towards Bakugo and Amari at once, connecting the pieces. Did you just say Bakugo? Nodding her head, the girl then pointed towards her brother before smiling. Yeah, I'm his twin. Tamaki couldn't help but shiver on the corner at that, now even more afraid than before. There are two. At the word twin, Najire's face lit up with excitement, scanning the small girl at once. Ooh, so that's what it's like. I would have never guessed. You two don't even act remotely alike. Are you sure you're really twins? She laughed at her joke, but Katsuki couldn't help but watch Amari's face with concern. That sounded like the kind of thing he used to make fun of her with, and the last thing he wanted was for her to experience that again. Stomping over to the group, Bakugo raised his fist, angry, evident in his... Say that again, I dare you! His face... Face dropped, now seeing the pure intent behind his words, and Amari placed a warm but firm hand on his shoulder, stopping her brother's action. Katsuki, it's okay. I'm okay. Katsuki froze then as Amari only smiled, turning back to the group smoothly. It's true we don't act or look alike, but I'm still a sister. I spent most of my time in America, so that's why our personalities are a bit different. Although, don't get it wrong, I'm still a Bakugo, through and through. Grinning back, Todoroki and Bakugo couldn't help but notice the change in attitude from the girl. Before, she used to just sadly admit their differences, but now she seemed proud of them. It made them glad to see that. Because she was speaking with such pride, Mirio couldn't help but be infected by it. Well, it's nice to meet you, angry one sister. The nickname, though, Bakugo hissed back. I have a name, you know, dumbass. Although Mirio only laughed. Tamaki watched the altercation and wondered just how two polar opposites could be siblings. But of course, then he thought of Mirio and himself. They were as different as they could be, so maybe it wasn't impossible. Narrowing his eyes in frustration, Katsuki was about to shout back when he noticed something out of the corner of his eyes, now spinning his sister around to face him. Hey, idiot. Not understanding, Amari replied. Yeah? That's when Katsuki reached down and touched her tie, already undoing the terrible knot. Did you tie your tie in the dark today or something? It looks like shit. Here. Your group watched silently then as Bakugo redid her tie carefully, everyone realizing that the boy really did have a soft spot for his sister. Even the big three seemed to realize their bond. Once he was finished, Mirio could only smile back. So angry one can also have a soft side. How sweet. At that, Katsuki's face turned into a frown, pushing his sister away in anger. Shut up. I'm trying to make her look less of a dumbass. She does enough of that already. And you, what are you doing here anyway? Mari's face changed then, realizing why she came here in the first place. Oh, right. Well, Class 1C is having a sort of mock battle next period for the new semester, and I wanted to see if you and Shota wanted to watch me fight. She waited for the responses, but the one who answered first wasn't Todoroki or Bakugo. It was Mirio, for some reason. Ooh, I want to watch. Turning around slightly, Amari turned her brow in confusion. She didn't even really know these people. You can if you want to. It's open viewing, after all. Third years clapped in excitement then, now seeing Najire do the same, all while holding Tamaki hostage. We'll all go. I'd love to see the new #1 hero's trainee in action. Amari laughed back nervously then, nodding her head. Endeavor's trainee had some weight to those words. Yeah, sure. The two cheered as she felt a heavy weight in her stomach then. Having her brother and Shota watch was one thing, but now the big three wanted to see her fight. That made her nervous. Letting out an anxious sigh, she paused when she felt Todoroki's hand on her shoulder. I'll be there as well, so don't feel nervous. Just do your best. Mari smiled to herself then, hearing Katsuki grumble behind her as well. And if you think I'm going to miss seeing my sister kick some ass, then you are sorely mistaken. A smile stretched wider as the girl nodded her head. She could do this for Todoroki, for Bakugo, and for herself. The crowd around the training arena were fairly large for the general study class, mostly because of two things. The first being that the big three had taken interest in such a low-level class, and the fact that the #1 hero's prodigy was supposedly here as well. Everyone watched the battles with interest as Bakugo and Todoroki stood next to the big three, silently worrying about Amari. This was the first time fighting without her pills so publicly. They hoped she would be okay. After the last round finished, the teacher came into the ring before speaking loudly so everyone could hear. The next battle will be between not a name I can say, and Bakugo Amari. Please get to your corners and wait for the bell. Strangers mumbled to themselves then, hearing the name of the two entered the air. That's her. That's Endeavor's trainee. Oh man, she has to fight. He's top of the class. Just as they said that, though, Amari made her way out into the ring, absent-mindedly touching Todoroki's bracelet before making her way to the corner. She could do this. She just had to remember her training. Mario watched the girl with interest, the bell ringing beside them, and immediately saw her expression change from a carefree girl to something far more serious. Oh, that's how she was. The two ran at each other. Nope. Biting his skin on his thumb before a long strand of blood appeared. Blood manipulation was his quirk, and Amari knew it very well. Let's finish this quickly, 1A reject. Frowning back, Amari evened her stance before taking a deep breath. The heat started to emerge from her fingertips. Yes, I agree. Let's finish this so you can see just how much this 1A reject goes back on top. The boy then threw down his blood strand, although the girl was quicker, dodging under his attack just in time. That's it. Nice and easy. Start out at 2% so you can breathe. Sliding back, he just looked displeased. Running away, that's your strategy? Although the girl could only smirk back, seeing another attack coming, and this time blocking it, the gold matter covering her hand raised to 5%. Not exactly. The gold began to fade quickly, though, and Amari knew she had to bring it up a notch, throwing his blood strands away and taking a step forward before talking to herself. Alright, Endeavor, hopefully this works. That's when she rounded the boy before expanding her quirk to 10% and creating a shield to block his attacks, and muttering to herself, Good, now lower it down to 5 before I die. Feeling her breath pick up, the girl then dropped the level of power so she couldn't feel the strain, now sliding under his quirk to end up behind him. Okay, that should be enough rest. Time to bring it up again. He turned around then just in time for Amari to throw her hands out and a sparkle and popping sound echoing from her fingertips. 15%. That's when she let out a medium-sized explosion, shaking the arena slightly as the crowd gasped from the small amount of smoke. What had just happened? Mira watched the fight with interest as well, knowing exactly what she was doing. It was like looking in a mirror. That girl, she was exerting and reserving her power carefully, planning every action so that her body didn't give out. That was extremely hard to do, and he knew it, because that was the same thing he had to do to get on top. This made him question so many things at once. If she was reserving her strength, then did that mean her quirk had some kind of defect? Who was this girl? Why was she only in general studies? She was clearly skilled. Just then, he heard the students whisper next to him, Whoa, this is crazy. It's obvious she's not the strongest in the class, but just based on strategy, she's insane. No wonder she was in the hero course before. The smoke began to clear as Amari stumbled slightly before making her way towards her opponent, who was lying on the ground in a heavy groan. Her eyes then were filled with such passion and intent, almost like her brother. Just because I dropped out of the hero course doesn't mean you shouldn't take me seriously. Just wait, I'll get back in the class soon enough. Just watch me. Before the big three silently wondered how the two twins could be so different, but looking now, they realized that they were wrong about that. Her stern voice, the passion in her stance. Here, she definitely looked like a Bakugo kid. A voice entered the space then, the teacher calling the match. Winner is Bakugo Amari. Everyone cheered at her win, Amari looking around with pride before falling to her knees in a heavy pant, clutching her heart and now focusing her breath. She did it. She was able to win without her pills for the first time. It was a start. A student next to the group gasped at the sight before he questioned out loud, Whoa, who even is that girl? Looking down at her accomplishment, Bakugo could only smile warmly, the pride evident in his voice. Suddenly he wanted the whole entire world to know. That's my sister. Finishing her third bottle of water, Mari let out another shaky breath before sighing to herself. She did win, but her body was not having it. Now feeling the repercussions, she supposed she had to get used to it now. This is what she had to deal with. She shook her head and looked to the left, only to jump 10 feet in the air, now seeing Muriel's face embedded in one of the walls. "Hey, it's you!" Clutching her heart in surprise, the girl screamed. "Ah, what the hell? Seriously, you're going to give me a heart attack." He blinked in confusion before his entire body entered the space as well. "Oh, sorry about that. I tend to scare people sometimes without meaning to." Finally, feeling her heartbeat go back to normal, she gasped again, only to find him a couple inches from her face. "Hey, so I've been meaning to say this, but you're really interesting. The way you fought back there, your strategy was extremely risky and difficult. Why aren't you in the hero course again?" Mari looked down at the floor in response. The compliment felt strange to her. Now ignoring the last part of the question. "Yeah, well, it's the only way I can fight without dying, so I work with what I have. Thanks, though." Muriel froze at that. "What do you mean?" That's when the girl realized she said more than she meant to, grinning back. Me and my big mouth. Well, since I already said it, then I'll tell you. My body can't handle my quirk, so I have to work it up one step at a time. Too much power and I'll die." Sitting down next to her then, the boy frowned. "Whoa, that's rough. I think I can understand better than anyone, though. I'm the same way." The girl narrowed her eyes in confusion then, as he continued. "My quirk was really weak, also, when I started out. But I learned to become stronger one step at a time, like you're doing. I worked for years until I got the title of being part of the Big Three, so you just have to keep going, too." Not really knowing much about this guy, Mari couldn't help but be interested. "Really? I didn't know that. I always thought the Big Three were just naturally strong." Shaking his head, the boy replied, "Nope. Well, at least not for me. Some people are born with the easy road, but people like us have to fight for our spots. But I'm thankful for it. I haven't worked hard then, and if I hadn't worked hard then, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Our experiences shape us, and I'm glad to have worked to get here." And Mari always thought this guy was just a weirdo, but looking closer, she couldn't help but see herself in him. Because of that, it made her want to share more with him. Taking a small breath, the girl spoke. "You asked why I'm not in the hero course anymore. It's because back then I decided to become a hero for the wrong reasons, using unnatural methods to become stronger quickly because I hated my real quirk. But now that all that's been taken away, I've been bumped back to the bottom. I have the experience, but not the body or power. It's like I have to start back at step one." Muriel listened to the girl before replying. "Isn't that a good thing, though?" Raising her brow, Mari frowned. "What do you mean?" That's when the boy looked up at the ceiling, thinking about something particular. "I think the best kinds of heroes are the ones that see the struggle and the work that goes into everything. It's like we really understand the kinds of people we are saving." Mari never thought of it like that. Seeing the pure joy in the man's eyes at the idea of saving people, he was a true hero. He lowered his head then, meeting her eyes before letting his face curve into a warm smile. "And who knows, maybe in a couple years you'll be part of the new Big Three." That's when the girl's eyes widened. "I don't know about that." Although Muriel could only see her Although Muriel could already see her potential. Already excited to see just what kind of hero she was going to be. He'd be surprised what can come out of the ashes. Wholesome. That was wholesome. Okay. I need to go get a drink of water. That's what needs to happen. Yeah, check her stuff out. It's good stuff. I'm gonna go try and read one more story. And I'm gonna get water first. And I'm gonna read another story. And then I might take a nap because I'm tired. I didn't get any sleep last night. Maybe do some laundry. I don't know. I'm debating what I'm gonna do. Laundry needs to be done, so that's probably what I'm gonna do. Or dishes. I don't know. Or maybe I'll just sit down and watch TV. Who knows? Okay. Yeah, so you will hear me in the next video. Bye-bye.